Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Creative Insider podcast number 74 with me, your host, Georgi. In this podcast episode, I had the pleasure to talk with the first Serbian guest on our show, and that's it, the amazing Tijana Z. I'm so sorry for my pronunciation if it's not perfect. But she is an amazing creative and she likes to experiment between different fields of creativity. She's educated as an architect and she's currently joining the PhD program of the University of Belgrade, where she will be researching methodologies and techniques to make sustainable architecture accessible for third world countries or for people that are not so rich. Beside that, she is a photographer, so she makes crazy photos, very good photos, amazing. And she's also the owner of the small company Roccolesco, with which she sells and she produces herself interior accessories for your home, such as pillows or even candles recently. So you can go in the links below and check her website to see what she makes. Amazing work. And I was amazed by, in general, the fact that she juggles between so many creative fields. And recently also one of her architectural project was exposed on the Venice Design Week, and she said also that she takes part in a lot of architectural competitions, which is also super remarkable. And it was really nice to have our Serbian guest, and it was a real pleasure to talk to her. But before we start, I want to remind you that if you like what we do, if you have fun and enjoy our interviews, if you like the conversations and the facts that you can learn from our guests, you can support us. There is one big way of supporting us for free, which would be to support the community and make it bigger by promoting the podcast with your friends, family, on your social media. Everything you do, it's really important. It's really crucial because we want to have a bigger community, a bigger family at the Creative Insider, bigger creative society, so to say. If you're not following us yet, you can do that on our social media channels, which are at TCI Podcast on Instagram and the Creative Insider LinkedIn page. And now you can support us also economically with a little support. We have a new link where you can offer us a coffee via PayPal. Just quickly, it's $3. It's just a way of saying thank you for doing this. If you really enjoy it, if you really take some value out of it. And also we suggest you to stay in touch with the podcast by going on thecreativeinsider.com, where you can check our articles and you can join our newsletter and you'll get a little bit of freebie. But enough with the talks. Thank you very much for listening. You're amazing, and enjoy the conversation with Tijana Z.
The whole world stops just like that.
Hello, Tijana. How are you?
Hello, Georgi. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Glad you joined me for the podcast. I was a little bit lazy and I couldn't send you not lazy, I was busy actually. But I also through the stress, I couldn't send you the invitation so quickly as I wanted. But in the end of the day, we have managed. And finally, I'm glad to have my first Serbian guest on the podcast. I always stress this topic that I really like to have all the nationalities on the podcast.
Yes, I'm so happy to be the first, and I hope you will have many more.
Yeah, I hope so too. So for the people who don't know you, you can introduce briefly yourself and tell who you are, what you do.
Yes, my name is Tijana Z. I'm from Serbia, from Belgrade. I'm currently a PhD candidate at Faculty of Architecture in Belgrade. I work in architecture, graphic design. I have my own small company that I started for making the interior details like pillows or scented candles. My passion is obviously visual arts in every sense. I also do photography, like fine art, portraits, and I think that's it for the start.
That's it. That's quite a lot. That's a lot of things that you do. No, as I was telling you, is that I always look and explore social media and visual platforms to find people that might be interesting to talk to, and I thought what you do, it's really cool, and it's interesting, and I wanted to talk to you. So
Thank you.
I am curious. I always start with this question because for me it's important, to not say only what you do, but who you are and why you do what you do, and how everything started. So I'm curious, what was the moment in your life, or what was the reason for which you thought you might become a professional creative, and you decided to go towards this direction?
Well, I've always been interested in visual arts since I was a kid. And my art teacher from the elementary school devoted a lot of her time during me being in the school for like explaining the art and the way it the process of making art in every way. And she had like a lot of time to talk to us, me and my close friend, and made some kind of small exhibitions. So we were really motivated to work, and we wanted to enter the world of creative industry and all the people that we got to know through her. So it was like my beginning. And then through my high school, I just got to love like photography more, and I was supported by my family and friends. And then because I was good at maths also, and I liked art, I also loved architecture, but I never thought of it like my occupation. And then I figured out it was the best connection between the two worlds, like the mathematical and the world of structures and all the physics and things, and then the art on the other hand. And I thought it was the thing for me. So I got into architectural school in Belgrade, the Faculty of Architecture, and I've been there for the last 5 years. I finished my master's degree in July, and then now I'm a PhD candidate.
And also, I always think that architecture, it's a very cool solution to convince your parents to go towards the direction of design, because most of the parents are convinced, oh, architecture, that's like a stable, solid job. And then you enter the world of architecture, it's total mess. But
yeah, it's great to say that you will finish architectural school and then you become like graphic designer or illustrator, and you can always say you're an architect, but you do the things that parents don't really approve of at the first. But I like all the spheres. I've been there, done that. I've done graphic design, I've done illustrations, but I find myself in architecture and photography, and that's my passion.
yes, and I mean, when you study architecture, you kinda have to, learn the other things too, and you have to learn like a lot of side things for every project, because for instance, if you're designing some specific building, I don't know, if you're designing an airport, or if you're designing a station, or if you're designing a museum, you're gonna by exposure, you're gonna learn about planes, you're gonna learn about, I don't know, how it works to make a museum, and all the air conditioning, light conditioning, and all this thing. And so every project, beside of being it's like a little bit of a research project in a field that's not really architecture or design, and it's you have to learn so much, and you have to learn to make everything look good, and you have to learn graphic design for that. So I think it covers a lot of the topics. But how it is to get into the School of Architecture in Belgrade? Is it very hard? Because so far I have had few guests from Eastern Europe, and it is this recurring path that there is a very hard exam for drawing and a very hard exam for mathematics. Is it in Serbia something like that, or how was to get into the school?
Oh, it was not so hard for me. And I think it's not very hard for anybody at all, because our, like, how do you say, the first exam to get into the faculty, it was just like a list of questions, like 50 questions, I'm not sure. And you have like suggested answers. You just have to circle the right one. So it was about art and art history, and then the themes that are like going on in the world right now. And it was not very hard. It is like 50% luck and then 50% knowledge. So it was harder back in like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, but now I think everyone can try. And I mean, it's much harder to finish the like all the tasks that you get later on than to just sign in or get into the faculty.
So you have the Italian system, because in Italy I studied in Rome, because I come from Bulgaria, but I grew up in Rome, and there we had the same thing. But I remember that the trickiest thing is that you have these questions as well, and there are different topics, not only art, but there was literature and stuff like that. And if you get the right answer, you get, I think, 1 point. But if you don't circle any answer, you don't get any point. But if you circle the wrong answer, you get -1 point. So it's
that's the same, I think.
Yeah, so that you can, so that you avoid that people just go and cross random, random answers, and they might be entering. So that you have to actually think, okay, should I answer this or should I not answer him? Because
Yeah, I think it's the same. But a lot of people get in, and then after the first year, we were like 300 at the beginning, and then after the first year, we were like 200, and then the other people that like wanted to go to the first year again. I don't know how to say it yet. Yeah. They joined us. So we were like 250 when we finished, or something like that. Not all the people finished the university. So
yeah, that was that. I'm always also curious about how was once you got in, how was for you the reality of the education compared to what were your expectations, and also what was the relationship to your professors and teachers? How was that once you got into this world?
So none of my family or friends are architects, and I didn't know what to expect. And also I am from a small town, Leskovac in Serbia, and I didn't have much opportunities to see the faculty and meet the people there. So I was very surprised when it started. At first it was a lot. We had a lot of subjects. It was like 11 subjects at the first semester. And then after that, I was happy because all the subjects were like from different spheres. And then we got to learn a lot more than I thought we would be learning. I did not know anything about architecture. I just loved to see the beautiful building, or loved the idea that I could make something like that one day. But in reality, I had no experience, no knowledge, I just did not know what to expect. So it was first a lot, and then after that I was very happy that we got to go through all the literature, with all the professors, the great mentors, and that we had the chance to learn all of it. And that's why people start to they get into architecture, and then they decide they want to do something else, because our faculty gives you like a big range of opportunities. You can be any kind of visual artist after you finish our faculty
I understand.
course.
But how are the teachers? Because you mentioned like it's harder to get out of the university than get in. And for me was like what I really hated in the university the first year when I got in is that most of the professors, I think even on purpose, they were very strict, very tough, and somehow even very, real assholes. Like they would offend the students and tell them what you're doing is shit and stuff like that. And the thing is that in Rome it works like a little bit like a video game. You have to pass the first exam, and then you have a second exam with the same professor, and you can access the next class only if you have passed the first one. And then you would pass the first year and join the next year with the same professor, and you'll be like, fuck, I'm gonna be with this jerk one more year. And then you get into the second year, and they're super nice to you because you managed to go to, it's a bit like in the military, you go through the boot camp and then you pass the boot camp, and then you're now accepted. And what
you can do it all then.
Yes, and then they like accept that you've been tough, and that and they're friendly, and then like you are like, God damn it, like what is this shit? Like you've been a jerk a year, now you're nice. Well, is it the same in Serbia?
Well, I can't say they were jerks, but they were strict at first. They wanted to teach us things, and now I kind of understand, because we were kids when we came to the university, and a lot of us did not know anything. And if it weren't for them at that moment, we probably wouldn't learn that much, or wouldn't accomplish that much in 1 year. The first year at the university, and then like the second one probably gives you the most knowledge, I think. The later on, it's everybody does their own research, and it depends on you how much you're gonna like grow, and what are you gonna read, or what you're gonna do. They just don't chase after you. They don't make you do things. They just let you do whatever you want. And then if they did not like make us do all the things in the first year, I think that would make a big change, and it wouldn't be good for us.
Yeah, and as you said, architecture is this world in between science and art. How much is focus on science? How much is focus on art in Serbia? Like, because for example, I've studied in two countries. I studied in Italy and in Germany. And in Germany, it was more focus on really drawing technical details, designing actual projects. And in Italy, there were a lot of subjects which were more abstract, where you would just calculate some structures, which was pure mathematics. And here was more really, I studied also at University of Applied Science, which every project was related to a real situation. Were you happy when you joined with the amount of creativity and drawing that you were able to train and to learn in the university, or in the beginning was also a little bit too much, I don't know, physics and statics and mathematics?
Well, it was a bit much, but we have both the mathematics and physics subjects, the science subjects, and the art ones, and you kind of decide which person do you want to be while you study. You can get a really good knowledge from both worlds, and we have very good professors for both of the things. But I think that we could be a little more strict about this scientific thing, because in reality, when you finish the university, you know some basic stuff. But when you come to the studio to work and to draw the real things and stuff like that, you really don't know all the details. But I also think that going to school and to faculty or university shouldn't be like working. It should widen your like sight and opportunities, and you should see what else is possible. And I think that the construction part you can learn easier than you can later in life. Then you can like grow in the area of art or anything like that, because you don't have much time for reading or going online searching for concepts or thing like that. And in real life, especially in Serbia, it's not about the concept, it's about the money, it's about the funding, the square meters, the all the things I assume you know already.
Yeah,
and then
reality check.
Yes, reality check. So I think it's good for us to have those 5 years to like imagine things, work on concepts and things, and then we have like a year or two to learn the basic stuff when we start working. I think it's a good combination in Serbia.
And it is, you mentioned 5 years, you're doing a straight up master's 5 year, or you have also bachelor and master's?
Oh, yeah, we have bachelor and master's. It's 3 years plus 2 years. And then we have the one cycle program. It's called integrated, I think, architecture. I don't know how it is translated. And I signed up for that one. And so I did 5 years.
5 years straight.
Yeah.
So it's very
Straight,
much like
yes.
the Italian system. I'm surprised that it's so similar to the Italian system than rather to what was with people that I have talked to from Bulgaria or Romania or Poland. And so on. So I understand the system. And when I joined, I was coming from a School of Arts. And in the School of Arts, after the third year, I already joined a little bit. There was a special class for interior and architecture. So I already knew a little bit about who are the architects that are, the top architects in the world. I knew a little bit what are the skills about AutoCAD, about Rhino modeling, and so on. I had the luck that one of my cousins had already decided to become an architect, so he was already more into the field. And when I would meet him, I would ask and know a little bit, just know some basics. And you said that when you joined, for you was completely new. So what were the figures along the way that you discovered that directly or indirectly became your mentors? And what are the skills that you got obsessed with learning? Because as we said, it's a lot of visual art, but you can do it in a lot of ways. There are a lot of softwares. There is a lot of, and I think that everybody that are creatives and designers in particular, they get in this period of their time where they're obsessed with, I don't know, doing it very good and just for your personal satisfaction. So what were the figures you discovered, I don't know, from books or from maybe even some of your professors, I don't know, that have influenced you? And what were the skills that you really wanted to develop and to learn, and that you have actually learned and that they're helping you in your daily life today?
Well, I always say, because architecture is like a wild occupation. It has a lot of angles to it. So I think you can always have a few mentors. It's not only the one person you look up to or you like their work. And sometimes when you scroll through the projects of the studio you like, you will always find the one you don't like or you don't support. And it's because of all the influences that they have, maybe because of their contractors or the landscape or whatever the reason. So I always have like a lot of different mentors. I have my mentors in like economics, design, in team leading, in a lot of different spheres of architecture also. And I always like to say that I need one that is a real person, like my professor at the university that I can like look up to or look in the eyes. And then I need one that is like from the bigger scale picture, the world known one, or the big studio that is your dream to accomplish, or something like that. So when it comes to the big studios, I've always loved John Paulson, for example, or the minimalistic ones like Mies van der Rohe. I mean, those are all famous architects, and I suppose you know them. But the things I was obsessed about were minimalism and how to achieve the functionality with minimal elements, and make the space fit for, I can't say anybody, but fit perfectly for the client. So when it comes to like architecture, that was my goal. And then I always loved to learn about visualization techniques or drawings. I've always loved to sketch in the first like stages of the project. And then I've enjoyed teamwork, and I've always strived to work with my mentors. Whenever I had someone that I looked up to, I always tried to come up with a project or a contest or something like that to work with that person, and to have an insight in his mindset, the way he brainstorms, or the process of the like design and every detail of it.
I see.
Yeah, so.
And what were some of the mentors that you have had in other fields that rather than architecture?
Well, I've had some in design. I've had some in business. I mean, you can see, where's my book? This one, Liz Dennery Sanders. It's the book about branding, for example, and I'm reading it right now. I'm going to read, not reading it. It's about, for example, style and substance. It's about branding and being that one person that represents the brand. So I can say she is my mentor at the moment, because I try to listen at her interviews or listen to her podcasts or something like that. And I always try to find the fresh new people, because when you listen to their opinions for a long time, you kind of get to know them, and you can overgrow the things they're saying.
And that's a very cool thing that you have said, and that you have actually done to find other mentors in other fields. And it's like not surprising, but it's like remarkable, because the teachers at the university, I don't know what was the case with you, but they focus on teaching you their subject, and then there are so many more things that you have to know to actually succeed in the professional world. And you mentioned business, branding, probably finances and stuff like that. It's even if you want risk taking and so on.
Yes, well, it depends on what do you want to be when you grow up. If you want to have your own studio and be the leading role of it, or you just want to work with someone, or you're interested in one particular thing like drawing or doing visualizations, then you don't have to learn all the things. Then you have to learn just the one thing you're like interested in and you want to do for the rest of your life, or the next period.
But I was more mentioning being aware of it. It's already a step to become aware yourself what you want to do. How did you get in? How did you realize you had to, or you wanted to explore these side fields too? Like, how did you think, hey, I want to learn something about business, or I want to learn something about branding? How did you come up with this idea while being into the, in the environment where you just focus on learning the craft?
Yes. while I was studying, I always trying to find some student jobs or something to do while studying. So I've been in photography and graphic design, and get to know a lot of people, and I had the opportunity to hear a lot of opinions from the outside world, the people that are not architects and that do great work. And as I said, none of my friends or family were architects, so I had an insight in all kinds of different like occupations and the way all of it works. From, for example, my parents, they're in retail business, so from the young age, I knew a lot about how to handle clients, or I mean, a lot of like managing things that aren't connected to architecture in general, but you need to learn them either by listening to people or talking about it or asking about it, or learning by doing. I mean, the exact moment when you open your studio or whatever you do, you will be faced to all those problems and you will have to solve them. And I've always liked that. I mean, when I work somewhere or with someone, I always try to see how they handle problems and what problems do they have. For example, if I work at my, when I am at my office in Belgrade and I work in architecture, I'm at the BIM team, the coordination of the BIM models and stuff. So we have a lot of problems and we try to solve them. And I always look how our coordinators are solving them, or how they could be solved, or are there any other ways? Or when I see something new, I try to do a research about it. And I think that is like the thing that makes me grow. I'm just very
observative.
How do you say that? Yeah, I'm observative, but I always want to know more.
Yeah,
I'm
curious. It's like being
curious. Yes, curious. Yes,
curious.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great quality to have, and I think that's also something that I can see through. Somehow, you can say that through the multiple things that you do, which means you're willing to explore. And you mentioned that since also during your studies, you've been already joining some jobs to get involved into the real world of professional architecture. How was that transition for you when you got your first jobs? Like, what was the difference between what you have learned and what was actually in the world of professional companies? Because I always like to say that studying, it's like getting the driving license, like they teach you something, you know how to move the car around. But when you start driving for real on your own, it's way different. And how was for you this experience?
Well, I started freelance working on small projects, and it was a slight transition to the professional sphere. I was lucky to have some free time on my own and to live alone and to be able to manage my time as I liked. So I always tried to find something to find some more experiences, new experiences, to experience something that I haven't seen before or haven't heard of. And then every time I talk to my friends or whoever, and then I hear something about some new things, for example, Bitcoin, and I have no reasonable, there is no reason for me to even read about it or be interested in it. And then I find it, I see it as something new. And maybe there's a principle that I can incorporate in architecture or design, or me handling with money or people or whatever. And then I become obsessed with it. And then I read about it for like a week or two. It depends on the team. And I always try to find something new and read something about it. And then how do you say? I have like a large library in my head, and I try to pull all the new experiences into it. And then I take the book, and I don't put the whole book in it, but just the part that I find useful. So I talked a lot. I forgot.
No,
what was your
but
question?
the question is like how happened that you joined? What were the difference when you started working professionally? You mentioned you started with some freelance projects. What were these?
Yes.
How did you manage to get freelance project as just a student?
That was the point. All of my friends had some kind of jobs besides the university, so I wanted to get to know how did they find them, or what were they about, or could I do them too? And I started working at first at the British Council in Belgrade because I was learning English, and they wanted me to be part of their exam stuff. And then we traveled a lot and held those interviews, or did stuff like volunteering or stuff like that. And after that, I managed to get to know some people that were in design. And we first, they needed help, and I helped them with like graphic stuff. And then they were satisfied with what I did. And then they connected me to other people that have like a bigger jobs for me. And it's not happened once that I was scared for accepting a job that I didn't know how to do. For example, I've done a couple of times, but once I accepted to do the book design for an inside of a book, and I did not know how to work in InDesign. And you have to know the program to like design the inside of the book. So I did my research online and watched tutorials on YouTube and tried to make it work. And in 2 weeks, I had the project finished. So I was scared at first, but now I'm not scared to accept and do project that I think it's bigger than what I can achieve. I just try to get help if I don't know, or incorporate someone else, or connect to people. And that is mostly how I get my freelance jobs.
And how about photography? What kind of photography stuff you do, and how did you get involved into that?
I found my dad's old camera when I was in elementary school, and it all started then. And I took photos of my friends at first, and then I posted them on social media. And I think I got the exposure from them, from that profile on Instagram. And then it's like people started contacting me for photos. And at first I was scared to set the price, or to even go to some shootings. I thought I wasn't able to do it. And when I got myself together, I set the price, and I was very confident in all the things I've done, and it all just went through the roof. At one point, I was doing more photography work than I was architectural design work, and then I decided it was time to slow down a bit and do more of architecture, and then photography is just like my hobby now.
Yeah, but you do really, really beautiful pictures. And what kind of camera did you use to or do you use still to make these pictures?
I use Nikon D750, and I've had it for like 3 or 4 years now. Before that, I used the Canon one, but I prefer Nikon. And I've always loved to try, when I get the chance, to try the new lenses or the new types of lighting. When I go to studios or something to shoot, I always try to talk to the photographers that are already there, try to get their opinions, use their cameras, or do something that I haven't done before. I just want to do more in every aspect.
And how do you balance? Because I see you're very active in making stuff, but you're also very active into learning stuff. What is the balance between learning and then applying, or do you always learn based on something that you want to apply? Because you mentioned you read a lot about business, branding, then architecture, then photography. So do you always take these little bits of the books or of the knowledge that you want to learn and then you put them into application right away? Or are there some periods of time where you're just more focused on to learning and then you stop it and then you start applying what you have learned? Because there is a certain momentum when you do creativity, and then, it's very easy to fall off. It's like going on a fitness program, like once you miss a day, it's gonna go downhill. And I think the same is with creativity. Like you can say, I'm gonna stop doing photography for a week, and then you never take the camera again or something.
Yeah.
So how do you balance this practice and learning? And
I like to schedule for the future. I like to make plans and to have the control over my time. So for the studying, I always choose mornings or evenings, and I always listen to podcasts or books, audiobooks or something while in traffic or while going to work, or even while I'm working. I have my headphones on and listening to some stuff. But I can say that there are days when I am filled up that I don't want. And I think that's fine. We all need to pause and turn around, look at what we have achieved and just give ourselves a break. I think I take weekends off. I think that photography is not my job, so I do photography on weekends, and that's how I relax and get prepared for the new week that is coming. And I think it's for me the big part of my how do I say of my life is that I need to change the atmosphere, change location, change people a lot. Not necessarily people, I don't change friends. I have old friends, that's fine. But I always love to have new experiences in every way. I try to, when I remote work, when I work from home or however, I try to go outside and visit the new cafe or work at the hub or somewhere where the atmosphere is new. And then that's where I get my inspiration from. I always see something new, and I always strive for the new details and new people and something fresh in my life that gets me going. And that's why I loved to travel. I still love to, but since the pandemic, I've been locked inside my country, and that has been very hard for me.
Well, you could explore Serbia, so
yeah.
But I mean, I think everybody's been trying to stay more inside the country where they're based. So yeah, but I mean, I can see that basically everything it's in your life, it's powered through this curiosity and sort of I don't know, this constant flow of information, of events, of testing, of exploring.
Yes, but you have to take breaks from it too. That's why I said weekends. I enjoy weekends off with my family or friends or just doing nothing. I mean, they all say that I never do nothing. We're watching movie and I have my phone in my hands and then scrolling through Instagram, making new posts or something like that. But that's a relaxation for me. I love being half active, active without pressure.
And how about Roccolesco, which is your small design venture? How did you come
Yep.
up with this idea, and what was the process of starting it, and how it's set up now?
I started the brand with my friend in 2016 when we first moved to Belgrade. And it was mostly about the throw pillows that we drew. They're all hand painted, they're unique, and all of them are hands on, and everything is handmade. So we had a few pillows in our apartment, in my apartment, and he got an idea that we should draw something on them, and it it came out good. And I saw the opportunity from the business side, and we started by making the page Roccolesco on Instagram, and then a lot of people started calling us, asking for the price, or if we can do the custom made. And I always enjoy doing custom made things, because the people who ask for them, they know I'm an architect, and they just send me pictures of their apartments, and they say they need like 3 pillows, and I can do whatever I want. And I enjoy working with them. That's like the most interesting work I've done on Roccolesco. And then about a year ago, I started making scented candles, since it was pandemic and we were at home, and I saw it on TikTok. And I wanted to try it myself. So I started making them with my friend, and it was also a great move, because people were interested in them, started buying them. And Roccolesco lives by its, it's a closed circle for itself. It has nothing to do with my architectural business or photography or anything else. It's just the part of me that lives on its own. I don't know how to explain it, but it's something that I enjoy doing, and it's probably I always thought it would finish when I finish university, and that it was like a student's job and that it won't grow. But then I got to love it, and I made a website, and I'm not like I don't want to keep it a secret. I want to let people know I'm doing it, and I want to spread it, to make it bigger, to even incorporate some maybe parts of furniture in later years. We don't have like a warehouse or anything like that, but maybe in the future, because that's like a big investment. So it's not really reasonable for me to do it now, but as I said, in the future, maybe.
Yes, and how did you learn to make candles? I'm very curious about this thing, and also, how did you? So you get this, for example, for the pillows that you do, because if people go on your Instagram page or the Roccolesco page more specifically, they will see what you do. So all the artwork, basically what is drawn, it's made by you.
Yes.
And it's handmade. And what is the process into making candles? Because it's something that I have no idea about.
Yeah. Well, about the pillows, I get the sewn pillowcase, the pillow cover, and then I only draw on it. I don't sew them, or I don't make them. I have a friend who does it, so it's like a partly job. And about the candles, I'm doing those with my friend. He helps me. We have bought the huge amount of wax. It's the paraffin wax. And earlier, while I was at the faculty, we made models from the wax. So I knew already how should I, like, at what temperature does it melt, or how it smells or how should I handle it. So I had like pre-knowledge about it. And then we started doing research about the smells, about the wicks, and we chose to make wood wicks, and all the details that we made on that we like decided to be our like signature brand things. And I can say that we had a few fails at first. We tried to make them, and then we tried to find answers online. And after like few batches, they came out good. And people in Serbia obviously love scented candles, so they're selling good. And I think it's better for me to make candles because I need less time to make candles because I can make a couple of them at the same time. And when it comes to pillows, I have to devote some time to each one of the pillow covers. I cannot make, I have only two hands. So when I make candles, I can make like 8 or 10 in one batch.
Yeah.
So that was a
that's
good reason to start.
Yeah, that's also a problem when making things that are handmade, that it's like the limit quantity, it's based on the limit physical possibility to
Yes.
to create them. But
Yes.
what I'm curious is like by doing all, so you said you had many freelance jobs, you do photography, you do rockolesco. Did you maintain yourself with these practices throughout your studies, and is this enough to make a living, or do you need to always have like a main job that's basically your core sustaining source of income, and then you have these extra side gigs that just give you some extra boost? How does it work?
My parents have always been there for me. I mean, I've never paid for like my apartment in Belgrade or such great things, but I try to live on my own. Since I was a student, now I live on my own, obviously, when I have a job. Those side gigs were enough to cover all my travel expenses. For example, when I wanted to travel, when I went, for example, to Italy or to Copenhagen or something like that. And then I always like to feel like I don't depend on anybody, because a lot of things that I like to buy are like not so functional, but beautiful things. And then they're branded or they cost too much. And I don't want my parents to buy those for me. I want to be able to buy them for myself, or to have, it's not about the brand, it's about the feeling. I love the good packaging, the the experience when you come to a shop or the luxury store or something like that. So that's why I've always been doing it. I haven't been like forced to have a lot of jobs. It's just something that keeps me going. I love the sense of being able to be whoever I want, and to be able to give myself anything at that exact time that I want it, if you understand what I'm saying.
And how does your day look like from Monday to Friday? Because in order to be able to do all these things, and from what you say and from what it looks like, you really want to do them at a very, high level, or at least at level that satisfies you. How much time per day you work? Like, are you constantly focused onto doing these things? I mean, as I said, again, from Monday to Friday, because you mentioned before that on the weekends you try to, pull off a little bit from the accelerator and slow down a little bit. So how does your regular day look like?
Well, I work at the office from 9 to 6. And then before that, I try to read something or get up earlier so that I can prepare for the working day. In the evenings, I usually do all the Rocolesco stuff and the things I have to draw or make candles, or I do design that I have arranged for the day. And I always try to set my deadlines in a reasonable time. I never promise something to be done for like tomorrow if I don't know if I'm able to do it. I always try to say at least a couple days more than what I think I need, because I always like to respect the deal and the deadlines, and I always want my clients to be happy and to be satisfied with what they get, and I don't want anything to be done in a rush, except for architectural contests that always have to be done at the last moment, of course, in architecture, because it depends on the team, not only on me. So I have a few hours after I come back from work, and I try to plan them right and be able to do all the things that I've set up for that day. But I plan in advance.
How many hours a night you manage to sleep?
It depends on the night. Well, I sleep around 7 hours every day.
Oh, so it's decent. You're not.
Yeah, it's decent.
You're staying in a healthy range. I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Well, there were times when I wasn't able to sleep at all, or I slept only a few hours. But I think it does not make any good to anybody. Then the next day I'm not prepared to work, or I cannot be focused or concentrated on what I'm doing. And I think it's better to be rested and prepared to work and clear-headed and finish it in small amount of time and be satisfied with it than it is to finish it fast or I don't know. I just like to plan in advance and not make those things happen to me anymore. I don't think I can be productive enough or happy enough if I live that kind of life.
And are you patient with the work? Because for example, one problem for me is that when I start working on something, and without even wanting it, I start getting, very in a rush towards having the final result, to figure all the points. And for example, this is something that it's in architecture, in art, in design. It's something that it's like a process. It's like having a plant which gonna grow slowly. It's not gonna grow right away. But I kind of want the plant to just flourish suddenly. And I start, doing, okay, let's do one more half an hour. And then it's like 2 hours later, I'm like still working on something. And do you stop yourself when you do this work? Like you say, okay, I'm going to just do this and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to leave it there and I'm going to come back tomorrow. Or you have the same problem too?
Well, I have the same problem. I'm always patient at the beginning, and then I lose my patience after a few days. And I always try to do more, and then I can never... When I plan my time, I always try to make, work obviously takes a lot of my daytime, but I try to have one big project for the day, and not mix a lot of different things. For example, if I'm doing something in graphic design, some posters, or preparing a design for a book, or branding for someone, brand book, or anything like that, that's the only thing I'm going to do that day after my job. And I'm doing it until I'm satisfied. And when it's ready to be sent, I always send my mails late at night. And I always get answers tomorrow morning, of course, because all the people are sleeping when I send them. And I always thought it was kind of unprofessional, but I think they all know that I work during the day, so it's the obvious time I'm gonna work at night for those things. And the only thing that really gets me angry is when we have to do an architectural contest, and then you think you have enough time and you start doing it a bit late, or the team is not very synchronized, or somebody is I don't know. It just gets me angry. I want everything to be the best it can be at the given time, and I'm not satisfied if I send something and then I know I should have made a couple of changes to it, or it should have been better, or it could be better or detailed or something like that. So I try not to be in those situations as much as I can.
You're mentioning that you're doing some architecture competitions and contests, and I've noticed that also lately some of your work have been featured on the Venice Design Week, which congratulations for. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
I was like, I picked the right guess one more time, so it's fine.
Thank you.
How about that? When did you start, and how is that process looking like? Do you have now a sort of a set up team that you do contests together with all the time, or you change team members, and how do you organize to put all the people on the goal? Because this is a very difficult thing when it's, because competition, it's the ultimate uncertainty project. You just do something. You have to believe in it yourself, but it's most of the time for yourself because winning is difficult.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell me more about what you do in this field.
Well, I try to change people I work with. I never work with people that I am not aligned with, that have different goals than me, or I don't like working with people that have very different aesthetics from me, because we can never agree on things. We have to send a poster or something and then nobody likes it, or it's just not a good atmosphere. I can have them as friends or ask for their opinion sometimes, but I don't like working in teams with them. It's nothing wrong. It's just maybe I'm wrong, but we don't align in those things. About the contests, I like doing them because they give you the opportunity to show how creative and innovative you are, and the budget isn't always that great of a problem. So you can do a great project that would in real life cost a lot and would never be approved, and then in contests it's fine. About the Venice Design Week, that was my solo project I did at the university. And then when I saw the submission page for the Venice Design Week, I thought that it fitted the theme. So I just did a bit more details to it, made it to fit their like aesthetics theme, everything they wanted. And I sent the project and I was accepted. And that was, I think, last year. That is a thing that bothers me when you try to submit work for design weeks or something. It's just a large span of time. So I submit my work now, and it's going to be exhibited in like 8 months, and maybe in 8 months I won't like it. So I mean, I can grow for that time. And that's the only thing I like hate about it. But I like the motivation I get when I do contests, or the sense of the approval you get when you get the mail of acceptance. It's like another stage of happiness. I cannot accept.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Like, it's a little bit like a little reward for all the...
Yes, for all the work done.
Yeah, for the work done. And where do you find all these events and how to submit the works? Do you constantly browse online or?
I don't do it constantly. I have a few pages on Instagram that I follow that constantly put news about the contests or exhibitions or something like that. And I don't submit my works to anything just to get it published. I try to choose the ones that fit best for me. About the design weeks, there is an online calendar that you can see for every design week in every city in the world. So at the beginning of the last year, I had a day off and I made a calendar in my planner. And now I know at what time of the year I should check their website to see if they have like submission open calls, close submission dates or something like that. And if I like the theme of this year's weeks in those towns.
Have you done this calendar privately for you, or is it a calendar online that you have found?
No, it's an online calendar, and I just transferred it to my planner.
Oh, then you should send me the link of that calendar so that I can put it in the description of the episode, so that all the listeners that might want to submit their own work, they will be able through this inside tip that you have just given. I mean, I think it's super remarkable for me how your character is this combination of this constant flow and exposure to new things, which means kind of exposure to chaos, because when you expose yourself to something new, it's usually chaotic because it's something that you don't know about. And then this ability to then kind of bring it back to a structure that you have, because you are I think you're very structured in your workflows and very ambitious, so to say. I think ambitious, not in a negative way, but also in a curious way, like let's give it a try. I'm gonna give it a try. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then it's and I think also you're consistent from what I see, because to make everything that you do, you have to be consistent, or at least this is what is the impression I'm getting from our conversation, which is a very interesting quality. These two things that, chaos and structure that usually wouldn't fit together, you kind of manage to put them together. And
I try to do all those things, and thank you for all the kind words.
No, but it's more like an observation. Like I wouldn't say it if I didn't think it. I mean, and everything I say, I can say just through the conversation we're having now, because I know I explore the visual results of your work, but I hadn't have big time opportunity to talk to you before that. So I always like not to do it, because then I will be very influenced in the conversation. I like to talk to the people and to the guests without knowing them. I think it would be a problem with people that are more famous or more exposed, because then I have to know them not to ask the obvious questions. That would be because but and how come the idea that you wanted to do a PhD? Like, because you seem also a lot of hands-on person, doing stuff that are real, and then you come up with a PhD. What do you want to do your PhD in? And
Well, I am interested in recycling and ecology, in that sense that, I think that sustainability in architecture is reserved for the like wealthy people and huge projects, master plans, and things like that. And I don't like it then that when, for example, people here in Serbia, in my small town in Leskovac, when they build something, they're not thinking about sustainability. They think that that's far away from them, or it's not accomplishable, or they don't even need an architect, or they can do it on their own. They can just recycle something that they already have and build it up, upgrade it. And I don't like that, because sustainability is not like, it's not an expensive thing. It's just that they are not interested enough in it, in the team, that they want to do a research, or nobody has ever told them that, or they think that if they're not an architect or in architecture, they shouldn't be bothered by those things. And that's why I wanted to do a PhD on the theme. And I want my outcome to be a product. I mean, I hope for it to be a product that they can buy and incorporate in building or planning, that can be cheap and sustainable and made out of recycled materials that they can use on daily basis or alone without an architect, or that they will find close to them, or just so that the idea is clear in their heads and they know what they're doing and they are making a difference. And I think that would be a huge step for Serbia.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I've listened a lot about this topic, and I've listened also the opinion about sustainability and the green movement that's now, going through the world with Fridays for Future. And I've heard a very interesting opinion from Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you know him. He's an author and a psychologist,
Yes.
and he apparently has worked during his career at the United Nations, I think, with the specific topic about sustainability. And then he said something really interesting, that he said the way to make the planet more sustainable is to make all the people a little bit richer, so that they have the time to take care of these things, because I come from Bulgaria originally, and it's not so different than Serbia, and now I live in Germany, and I've lived in Italy. And when you have when the majority of people, I'm not saying that all the people, but when no majority of people cannot get to the end of the month without being very careful about how they spend their money on what they really need, then their worries are already focused on bigger problems for their current existence than the big picture. Like if you have a limited amount of money with which you can take care of your kids and your family and your household, you're not gonna buy what is sustainable. You're gonna buy what is convenient, just for the simple fact that you don't have enough. And in the meanwhile, I live in Frankfurt, which is probably the most advanced economical city of Germany, and which is probably the most advanced country in Europe. And here, the problems of the daily life are on a completely different level. Like the problem is if you're gonna have a oat milk or or another kind of milk in your coffee. So yeah, I think that this is very important to make something that's sustainable but also obtainable.
Affordable.
Affordable, but really obtainable, in a sense that it's like better to buy the sustainable product, or to build the sustainable house or car, or so I think it's a very interesting topic. And I'll be when do you know if you're gonna be, you said you applied but you're not admit yet, or?
Yeah, I am. I am.
You're
I've been
admit.
admitted in the yeah, since we last talked. Yes.
Okay.
I have been.
Since we started
Yeah.
the podcast in the last hour. No,
Yeah,
no.
no. Since our last talk on Instagram, I've been admitted. Yeah.
So congratulations. So we'll be following your work, and you will have to report once in a while to the Creative Insider to see if we're gonna save the planet or we're gonna die.
I promise I will. I will try to save the planet.
Yes, sometimes heroes come from unexpected places, like Belgrade.
Like architecture.
Like architects, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's a very cool topic. I'm very curious to see how it's gonna develop. And will you still manage to be doing the PhD and working and everything and doing all the stuff together again, juggling between all of it? I don't know how many years you have to be through this program now.
Well, it's 3 years, and then we have 3 more for writing the thesis, the final dissertation.
So how many in total?
6.
Oh my God! So it's another. You're very
another
like I when I was finishing my studies, I was so happy to be done, because I'm more like I don't know how it is in Serbia, but in Rome the teachers mainly are only teachers, So I hated this abstract world in which they were living, and I was more like, I want to make stuff happen and not just talk about them and research about them. And that's why I never had any interest into joining further research and studies. But we definitely need those kind of people that do move forward the ball, that do.
Well, we have both of those worlds combined at our university. Most of our professors are doing some practical work and have their own studios and stuff like that. And I think that is a good a good connection between the two, and that it should be done like that.
Yeah, I agree. And this is the way it was done in Germany. This is why I admired way more the system here and what I got to learn. And I had more, when you have somebody in front of you that actually practically makes stuff, you have also higher tendency to listen to them and to trust them that what they're teaching you is the right thing.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think we cover most of the topics. Of course, for sure, I'm sure that by talking to you, we could be talking endlessly about a lot of topics. But I always like to say that this is the first time you're participating on the podcast, but not the last one. You're always welcome to come back and share some new stories or new adventures you're undergoing. What I always try to create with all the guests, it's like a sort of a tank of inspiration, which is like everybody puts a piece of what is their, I don't know, book, movie, sport, plays, or just art that they like to practice or like to visit, like to consume, even a podcast when you're not, so when you need a little bit of inspiration. So when you want to get a little bit inspired and pumped up to get into creativity, what inspires you, so to say, if you can think about something?
Well, when it comes to podcasts, I obviously listen to yours. I listen to Business of Architecture on YouTube. The last book I read was Verb Matters. It's a combined set of a lot of stories from architects and the construction problems they had. So I would recommend that one. The places, I get inspired from airports or coffee shops with a good daylight. I like to walk through like parks, and I try. Oh yeah, the good advice is you can put your earphones in your ears and then not play any music, just put them on like silent. And when you go through the city, try to convince yourself that you're listening the things that on your headphones that are really going in real life. I enjoy doing that. I like sit in public transport and have my headphones on, but I am not listening to anything. And I just listen to surround sounds. And that really relaxes me. And I find it interesting to hear like the conversations of people passing by, or what they're commenting on, or how they're feeling that day. It just inspires me. I cannot like, I don't know if it works for everybody, but you can try.
You managed to seem normal for 1 hour and something, and then you drop your craziness in the end. No, I'm joking.
Can we cut this out?
No, it was just a joke. I think it was just funny to say. No, I do it at work sometimes, just so people don't talk to me. So, but it's something to try. Well then, thank you very much. Last but not least, where can people contact you online and find more about you online?
You can tag me on my profile. It's Tijana Z. I have my Behance profile that's named also the same, my LinkedIn, or they can send me an email that goes like tijanaz@gmail.com, and I'm available everywhere.
Okay, I'll be putting all this information in the description of the podcast. Thank you very much for the nice conversation, and have a good day.
Thank you for the opportunity. I wish you all the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The whole world stops just like that.
Hey there. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast episode. You've been amazing, and thank you for the support. I wanted to tell you that if you like what we do and you want us to put on our chair or in front of us more and more creatives that are more and more famous and successful, we would like to do that. And but in order to do that, we need your help. So it would be awesome if you could help us growing our family, our community, by resharing this podcast, by following our social media channels, which are at TCI Podcast on Instagram, in the Creative Insider page on LinkedIn, and reshare our social media posts there. And if you want to support us by creating better content and give us a little bit of resource, you can find the link below to offer us a little bit of money for a coffee. So it's just going to be a one-time donation via PayPal. And but the most important is that you enjoy the show, and that if you want us to grow our family and community, you share about it with friends and family. Thank you very much, and have a good week. Yo, bye bye.